Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1277. You never know where research will take you. No, you never do. You may be answering a question, you may just be doing a general research, but it's interesting some of the stuff you can come up with. Today I had a great conversation with somebody, and we may end up doing it looks like we're going to be doing a collaboration on genealogy, which is going to be awesome. I'm going to be looking forward to this. And so to get the ball rolling, it's going to be on how to do family research, the collaboration we're going to be doing, or something similar to that. So of course, in order for us to do that, I had to find out some interest. I had to find out the facts. What do you know? So not who. No, hang on. Yeah, sorry. So it was the what do you know questions, like, full name, when you were born, siblings, parents, and got very interesting responses to some of these, like on both sides of this person's family. There's going to be some interesting stuff come out, and like she'd turn around and she just, like, I'm busy writing down the information as she's talking about it, and then she'll throw out this little fact here, and I'm like, wait, what? Okay, we'll write that bit down. And then we got to the other side of the family, and she was sort of like, oh yeah, and this person did that, and is here and there. And I'm like, okay. And wrote that down. And there's all this stuff coming out where she has some well-known people within her family. And what was interesting is the other day, in my email, I got my genealogy tip of the day was, no, sorry, not genealogy tip of the day. It was, which website was it? There's a website that's just uploaded over 17,000 celebrity family trees. And I was thinking, oh, wonder who can I go and look up and see that. But I didn't have a chance at the time because I've had a very busy week this week. And so it's on my to-do list to go back maybe this weekend. And now I actually have a really good reason to go and have a look. So I'm going to go and check it out and see what information they have on that side of the tree, for that particular side of the tree. And so it was kind of interesting. But one thing you do have to be cautious with if you are researching anybody that has or had a celebrity status at the time, or we know them as a very well-known historical figure. It could be somebody who was a president from way back. It could be somebody who was a famous general in an army. It could be somebody who was a well-known film producer or a film actor, or a singer, a dancer, whatever. There may be somebody in your past that has this famous history in which you could probably find out. You go, oh, that'll make research. That'll make research easy. Yeah, no. Yes, in some degrees, because you'll be able to find out a lot of information about the person, on anything written in the media about them. So there'll be maybe a lot of newspaper or magazine articles that were written about them. You may find videos of interviews that they did. But what you have to be careful of is trying to figure out which information is correct. Because there are people who will go out there and write articles about a person that may not be 100% correct, or may not have the full facts and figures that they should have in there. They haven't done their research correctly to get the right information. So in a way, yes, it is helpful if they are a well-known person, because you'll be able to find a lot of stuff about them. But where your research skills come in is you then have to verify the information in all of these articles that you're reading. Is this the right person that you're researching? Are these facts true? And because if it's a newspaper article, where did they get their information from? If it was not written from an interview based on that person, with that person at the time, it was written a few years later or something, how accurate is their information? How much research did they actually do? Now, if it's a one-to-one interview where they put, interviewer's name, and then they have the famous person's name, that one there, you can take it a little more okay, but you still got somebody who heard it firsthand who's writing it out. And sometimes things can get lost in transcription. Then when you're actually researching the person, you could actually find out some more interesting information about them. It's like, do I tell this person about this information that I found, or do I just leave it alone? You have questions that come up. There's all sorts of things that are going to come up when you're researching. So if you are researching somebody who is of a famous status, who wrote the article, who wrote the book, who wrote the whatever it is you're reading about them, what research do they have to back it up? Now, oh, I left it over there. I should have had it up here. In my in any of my genealogy magazines that come out, especially the ones like the National Genealogical Society's quarterly magazine that comes out, it's really cool. It has all these researches and stories in there. The problem is that their pages are about this big, and about this much of it is the actual story, and then the rest of the page are the sources. So you can actually, you know how well it's researched by the footnotes. All the resources are in the footnotes. Some people will put them as an addendum at the back of a book. If they're writing a book, other people will put them on the right pages. So you may end up with just a short piece that you're reading at the top, and anywhere from, in the bottom half to 2/3 of the page could be all the sources, which is fantastic because you know that the people have researched the book and they've written the resources in such a way that you can basically follow the path directly to that resource, whether it's online, whether it's one you've got to be in person for, but you can go and find that article, you can find that information. So they have really done the research, so a little more credibility on that one. But when you're reading newspaper articles or magazine articles, or how accurate is the information that you're reading? So that's where it's fun to research somebody who has a celebrity status of some sort, be they film, music, sports, a historical figure like a general or a president, or some famous person somewhere along the way, royalty, all of that sort of thing. Yes, there may be an awful lot written about them, but please, please, please be very, very careful with your research. And don't just go, oh, I found this date, and go and write it down. And yes, you will provide the source for it, but you may have other information in a more credible source that you discover that contradicts what you read over here. So now you have to pick it out. You've got to look at who is the one that would be most trustworthy. Is there another source that I can find that can back up one of these two? So now you've got to go and see if you can, how many more resources that you can find that will support one or the other. So it helps you sort out, because you may have two famous people with the same name, where information has been crossed over, so you have to kind of untangle the web for that one. But it's interesting. This is what makes researching so much fun. Yes, it's fun when you can do a famous person, but you do have to take extra precautions, because so many people could be writing about that person that some may not get their facts 100% correct. They may not cite their sources as to where they found the information or got the information from. So if you are looking and you do find a famous person in your family tree, or think you have a famous person in your tree because they have the same name as somebody, like helping a family find information on a father of a family where the father left when they were like 2 or something like that, and they wanted to find out more information about them. The problem we have with this particular name of this father is that he has the same name as somebody who was married to a celebrity. And the father was not the famous person who was married to the celebrity. So there's that, and there's those sorts of implications as well, that you may come across information where it's pertaining to a famous person over here, and you've just got regular Joe Smith over here, and somehow the two Joe Smiths have had their information mingled or something like that as well. So you got to be careful of things like that. If you come across a famous person, is it the right person for your tree? So this is when you come in and you do up the spreadsheet that has the information you find on this person, the information you find on this one, and you put them side by side across an Excel spreadsheet where you've got their names across the top, you've got the birth dates, you've got birth dates and places, you've got marriage dates and places, who they got married to, when they got married, death dates and places if they're no longer with us, just any information that you can find. And then you put down the side and you're like, I checked the 1940 census, I checked the 1950 census. What about the 1930 census? Did you go check that one too? Well, no, they weren't around in 1930. Okay. So, I'm putting this information that you can find on them side by side so you can see the comparisons, but at the same time, you're also looking for the similarities. Is there any overlap? Is one looking very much the same as one of the other ones? Maybe, so it helps you when you actually see the profile side by side. It's actually quite cool. Like, I've got one person in my mother-in-law's tree, and he has the last name Little. I kid you not. They have the last name Little, and he has a very common first name. And so I actually had to do the side-by-side comparison to make sure that I had the right person that was married, that was part of my mother-in-law's family tree, because there were a couple of people with the same first name, born around the same time, around the same area, and then I kind of had to put them side by side so I could put them apart and see who was who and where and what and all of that, and what documentation, who were the parents, could I find more information on the parents, and just asking that question, like, who is the parents of this person, and then going off and researching. And of course, you're putting the different people side by side. And can I find a birth certificate which may have the parents' names on there? Can I find a marriage certificate which may list who the father is? Can I find, any record that you can find where the parents are listed on there? Preferably baptism or birth records would be really, really good. Marriage certificates would be good too in some part. So it's just going through and checking and making sure you have the right information. So verify. If it takes you a month, that's okay. It took me 3 years. It took 3 of us, one working in New Zealand, one working in Australia, and me in the US. These were my second cousins, and we were trying to find who was my third great grandfather. It was their fourth great grandfather. And so we're trying to find this person. And so it took the 3 of us 3 years of sifting through a lot of information before we finally found him. Now we're all hunting for his dad, trying to find out what happened to him. But, genealogy is not a quick sport. It's not really a sport. It's not a quick thing. People could think that they can go on somewhere like Ancestry. They just put in the basic information. Then you get those little green leaves that go, hey, I'm a hint. You have to be very careful with those green leaves, because some of those green leaves could be the right name, but may not be the right person. Like, I just found a baptismal record for where the parents line up. Yes, the name is in there, but there's these other names that were added at the baptism, all in a completely different order to what we know this person as. And so I've had to send a note off to this to my collaborator to say, hey, is it possible that on this that this person was actually born with this name, and somewhere along the way changed it around? Because I found this record, it was a baptism record. It shows the right date that it's the same date that this person was born. Same date, had the baptism date there, which was a couple of months, about 3 or 4 months later, had the right parents' names in there. So it's like, is this the person who is in your tree at this level here? Is this possible that this could be their full name that they were baptized with? And so I'm waiting to hear back on that one. But anyway, just be very careful. Keep scrupulous notes. Take lots of notes. Write down all the resource information. Write down the source that you went to. Even have a document open. Like I do Excel spreadsheets, and so I can copy and paste the links into the spreadsheet in its own column. Like, this is where the source was found. Just call the column source. And I copy and paste the links in that back up that information over there. So I have the information where I got the information from. So if I'm not sure, I've got to go back and check maybe the handwriting. Maybe I my eyes didn't see it correctly. Maybe it was mistranscribed the first time by whoever did the transcription of it, because a lot of times with handwriting, E's can look like A's, I's can look like A's and E's, and yeah, it's a whole mess. Unless you know exactly what you're looking for with the curvature and the strokes and things like that on the handwriting. It's that there is a speciality in itself, is transcribing handwriting for genealogy records. And some people actually specialize it based upon the time period. Some will cover several time periods, but some might just cover, anything written in the 1800s, we can transcribe it, because everybody was taught how to write this way, and it's da-da-da-da-da. And in the 1900s, it tended to change a little bit. So, there are people that do actually specialize in transcribing genealogy documents that were handwritten. So that's kind of fun. I thought that's kind of a fun thing, but not for this girl. Although trying to decipher letters at times is fun. And one of the tips I was given, which actually works out really, really well, is you take a pen and a piece of paper, and you're looking at the screen and you're not watching your hand. So you're looking at the screen and you're following with your eyes. As you follow with your eyes, your hand does the same writing thing. The other thing that was one way where it could, when you've written it out, that maybe you can see more clearly what the letters were supposed to be. The other way that we were taught too is that print it off and blow it up a little bit when it's printed off, and then put your finger on it and trace the letters. Sometimes that can help you decipher what's being said on the handwriting. So there were all these little tips that we got given for deciphering handwriting, which I thought was kind of cool. But anyway, I'm gone for the day. I'm out of here. Everybody have a super fantastic, sparkling rest of your evening. And I think I might have some pork. I think I got pork chops for dinner tonight. Oh, no, chicken parmesan. That's what I got for dinner tonight. Yes, I know I'm breaking the dairy thing, but it's just a little light sprinkling. It's not a cheese sandwich where I have like 4 or 5 slices of cheese, so we're good. We're just doing chicken parmesan where it's sprinkled on. Anyway, go have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. We'll catch you back here around 6 p.m. Pacific tomorrow. Hey, konara.